The T-connection joint. If you activate a pipe object from the drawing menu, the T-joint appears in the Properties toolbox between the automatic fittings, which can be automatically generated when two pipes are connected for which the axis of the one intersects with the extension of the other's axis. The T-fitting created automatically with the Smart M.E.P mode acquires all the common properties of the pipes from which it is generated. In particular, the profile in A and B acquires the dimensions from the main pipe, while the profile in C acquires the dimension of the pipe that engages on the main one and can have smaller dimensions or even a different shape. In addition, the fitting is also modeled in consideration of the angle between the axes of the two pipes. The T can be automatically generated by the program in two different ways, depending on the context of the modeling. If a pipe has already been modeled, but you want to connect a new pipe to it using a T-fitting, you must first create a connection at the connection node. At this point it is necessary to model the branch pipe. If the profile has the same shape and dimensions as the main pipe, the fitting is modeled directly. With the tube entity active, position the mouse cursor at the connection and, when the yellow snap appears which identifies the presence of an connection, you can click to create the branch. Thus appears the protractor positioned by default in the plane of the main pipe that allows you to choose the direction of the branch of the fitting, as seen in the modeling of the pipes. If, on the other hand, you want to trace the pipe on a horizontal plane, or vertical planes in the local reference, you can always use the directional cube. Unlike curves, for this type of fittings, it is possible to orient the branch according to any angle. The use of the directional cube does not change from one entity to another. Even, in this case, it is possible to release the modeling from one of the planes of the directional cube and trace the derivation according to any direction in 3D. The fillet will in any case be generated by arranging the connections, A and C, in correspondence with the angle of less than 90 degrees. If the profile has the same shape but different dimensions compared to the main pipe, the tube entity is activated and in the size field you can choose the dimension from the catalog or library, or, if necessary, you can configure a new dimension with the plus button. We intend a difference in size when this exceeds 5% or, in the case of very large dimensions, it exceeds 1 centimeter. In this case, a menu with two options appears in correspondence with the connection being made. Size best suited to the selected connection. Size selected from library. If you click on the first option, the program searches in the catalog chosen for the pipe if there is a dimension that is closest to that of the selected connection. If it exists, it will be automatically selected and assigned to the new pipe. In the case of a connection between two pipes of the same material and the same shape, the size of the selected connection exists in the catalog. Therefore it will always be possible to create a T-fitting by selecting the first option from the menu. By clicking on the second option, instead, you choose to model the pipe with the profile set in the Properties toolbox, and in this case, a T-fitting joint will be automatically generated so that the connections A and B have the profile of the main pipe and the connection C follows the profile of the branch pipe. This function can only be used if Smart M.E.P mode is active for the pipe being modeled. If you choose a rectangular duct, all the default fittings have rectangular profiles. If instead, it is set to a circular shape, all fittings by default will be set to circular profiles. If the main pipe has a rectangular profile and you need to derive a circular section pipe, simply change the automatic T-fitting on the branch pipe. After initially modeling the main pipe with a rectangular shape, change the profile for the branch pipe, choosing the circular one from the library. Choose the diameter in the size field and, before proceeding with modeling, change the automatic default T-fitting. Click on the relevant field and the BIM Objects library opens, where you can choose a T-fitting rectangular circular, with the rectangular shape profiles, A and B, and the C profile which is a circular shape. At this point, with the automatic fitting that has just been set, it is possible to model the fitting by proceeding with the same steps seen previously, this time regardless of the size of the connections. Also in these cases, the angle of the branch can be freely chosen. The automatic modeling of the fitting also takes place in the case in which the connection of a branch pipe arrives on the connection of a pipe. In this case, the angle between the connections, A and C, is established by the pipe that is going to be inserted. Even when operating on the level, the T-fitting can be generated in the manner described. The yellow snap intersection appears, which allows you to create the T-fitting. Its derivation can be drawn in any direction on the horizontal plane. As for automatic fittings in general, also the T-fitting acquires the parameters and properties from the pipes that generate it, such as the system, the dimensions of the connections, the angle between the connections, A and B, the insulation and lining, etc. If, on the other hand, the pipes to be connected have already been modeled on the drawing and the extension of the branch axis intersects the axis of the main pipe, it is possible to create a T-connection automatically by selecting the two pipes and clicking on the Connect button. Enable in the top bar of the drawing menu. Also, in this case the Smart M.E.P mode must be activated on the pipes and the curve acquires the parameters and properties of the pipes from which it is generated. The Connect command, as seen for the curves, can also be used if you work on levels, as well as in 3D. If you activate a pipe, a corrugated pipe or a fitting from the drawing menu, the Transition Joint option also appears in the Properties toolbox. It is automatically generated with the Smart M.E.P mode when two M.E.P entities are connected and have coincident axes and profiles that may even differ in shape and/or size. The Transition, automatic connection, acquires, in correspondence with the connection, A and B, the shape and size of the profile of the M.E.P entity from which it is generated. If you want to connect another pipe along the same axis as the first one, having the same shape but different size, to an already modeled pipe, you choose the dimension to be attributed to the profile and place the first point on the connection of the pipe already present, using the yellow connection snap. When the profiles differ in size by more than 5% or 1 cm for large dimensions, a menu appears in correspondence with the connection being made, allowing you to choose between O size most suitable for the selected connection. In this case, a connection will simply be created, as the dimension chosen from the library will be the one corresponding to the connection of the pipe. O size selected from library. In this case, the actual transition will be created, as the dimensions of the profiles are different. The protractor that appears is already orthogonal to the section of the pipe by default, therefore, it is necessary to use the 0 degrees angle snap to trace the pipe along the axis extension. Once the length of the pipe is defined, the transition is automatically obtained. The same can also be obtained if a pipe is moved rigidly using the anchor and positioned on the connection of the pipe with a different profile. If you want to connect another pipe having a different shape to a pipe along the same axis, you need to change the transition automatic fitting set by default on the pipe you are going to connect. Let's suppose that a circular duct is connected to a rectangular shaped pipe. After choosing the profile from the library and setting the size, it is necessary to modify the settings of the automatic transition connection configured by default on the pipe to be connected. By clicking on the 3-dotted button, corresponding to the transition field from the general library, or possibly, from the project or user library, you will have to choose a type of transition that allows the transition of the profile from a rectangular to a circular shape. Therefore we will choose the type of transition rectangular circular. Once the transition to be set has been selected, click on Apply and only transitions will now be possible on that pipeline that allows the passage of the profile from the rectangular to the circular shape. The first point of the pipeline is then positioned on the connection using the yellow connection snap. In this case, the menu that allows you to apply the most suitable size or the one selected from the catalog to the pipe does not appear, as the shapes of the profiles are different and the size will be the one set in the Properties toolbox. By following the 0 degrees angle snap on the protractor that appears by default, it is possible to trace the pipe on the axis and obtain the rectangular-circular transition with the Smart M.E.P mode. If the transition must oppositely take place, that is from a circular to a rectangular shape, it is necessary to set the circular-rectangular transition on the rectangular duct that you want to connect in axis to the circular one and proceed as for the previous case. The transition associated with the pipe is generated automatically, even when it is connected to an MEP entity that is not necessarily a pipe. For example, if you connect a pipe to a fitting, you need to set the appropriate transition based on the shapes of the profiles. The transition to be obtained must in any case be set on the pipe. In these cases, when connecting the tubing to the connection of a fitting or an MEP entity that is not a tubing, the directional cube will not appear to choose the direction, as they are already fixed by the connector of the MEP entity. If you want to connect flexible or corrugated entities to a connection of an MEP entity, the same considerations made for the pipes apply. If two pipes have the same shape but different dimensions, these are connected utilizing a bend. Both the bend and the transition set on the pipe are set automatically. The transitions between pipes described can be obtained after setting the right automatic fittings, also using the connect command. The automatic fittings, in addition to being generated by connecting pipes together, can also be entered manually and individually from the drawing menu, using the Smart M.E.P mode. Each of the fittings present in the drawing menu has certain default parameters. By activating a fitting, it can be inserted directly on the connection of an MEP entity with the Smart M.E.P mode active. In this case, the fitting acquires the size, the system and the type of the connection, starting from those previously set on the connection of the MEP entity. However, you can still assign parameters to the fitting that do not depend on the connection to which it is connected to. Let's consider a duct with a rectangular profile to which the delivery flow of the ventilation system of the aerolic HVAC type has been assigned. With female type connections, material galvanized and size 200 and 100 mm. Supposing you want to connect a three-way fitting to it so that it has the same dimensions as the duct connection, you need to activate the fitting from the drawing menu and leave the Smart M.E.P mode active. However, it is possible to configure the model with the plus button and customize all the parameters, except for the connection size and type to be connected with the MEP entity. By default, the dimensions of the fitting are: thickness equals 0.80 mm. B internal equals 500.00 mm. H internal equals 400.00 mm. And connections are all set as flange types. You can therefore customize all other parameters. For example, the AD ratio, equal to 1.5 by default, is set equal to 3.0, and the connection type, A, which is set to smooth. With a first click of the mouse, anywhere within the drawing workspace, the model is generated using the parameters set in the configurator. Assuming you want to connect the connection B to that of the pipe, it is necessary to move the anchor of the derivation on the connection B, using the F5 key from the keyboard, and then move the object in correspondence with the pipe connection. Thanks to intelligent connections, it is not important that the objects are aligned, as the software automatically aligns the axis of the branch connector to that of the pipe to which it is being connected. By making the connections with the Smart M.E.P mode active, the fitting acquires information and properties from the pipe connection. It is automatically resized in each attack based on the profile, and, while the free attacks have the connection type set by default, the attack that is connected with that of the pipeline acquires the complementary type from the latter. By selecting the fitting, you can read all its properties in the toolbox, and in particular, the name, type and flow of the plant are those of the pipeline. The types of connections, which can be read both in the size field and in the connectors subsection, are those set by default, except the connection that is used for the pipeline. Therefore, in this case they are in the order smooth, male, flange. In the geometry section you can read the values of the fillet parameters and therefore the value 3.00 set for the curvature in B. The dimensions of the pipeline connections are shown in the profile subsections. The Smart M.E.P mode also allows you to automatically change the types of attacks of entities already connected, by acting on only one of the connectors. The software attributes the complementary type to the modified one to the adjacent connector. From the Properties toolbox, in correspondence with the Connectors subsection, it is possible to change the type of connections of the selected fitting entity. Both of these are free and if connected to other MEP objects. With the Smart M.E.P mode deactivated, however, it is not possible to make changes to the fittings. If you change the type of connection, B, connected to the pipeline, setting it from male to flange by using the menu corresponding to the connection considered, the software automatically changes the type of the pipe connection with which it is connected, so that they are always complementary to each other. In this case, the connection of the pipeline will also be changed to flange. The same modification can be made on the duct side. After selecting the duct, in the Properties toolbox select the connection B and change the type from flange to smooth. Also, the connection type of the connection B of the fitting is changed to smooth, complementary to the kind set on the connection with which the connection is generated.